Greetings. Yeah, um, a sort of another totally unexpected video. Thank you, Alvarbilly. This is all your fault for your inspiration. Following on from what I mentioned about the old vinyl records and different conductors, and what you've said about your mother's painting, well, it got me thinking about that. Well, why is it, say for example, a song comes in the head and you see the lyrics and it just clicks like I did with Hotel California? What other people have done with songs, well, would it just be songs? I know it's not just songs, it's books where something, just a line can leap out the page at you, so why not paintings? And this neatly sort of dovetails into a discussion I was having about how this silver thread pervades through everything. It's not the things were put in place at specific times as such. I mean, you could even say that songwriters, all types of artists, because basically we're looking at creation here, and it is creating either music or words or poetry, images. And there's that silver thread that you just get to see. It's in everything and everywhere. Signs in nature, signs in the sky. I'd love to talk about the stars and the universe. I could list those stars. I've already given you a name of one of them. I mean, when I'm talking about stars in the universe, I'm talking about this universe. So the stars are the friends, whether they be people in this reality. There's also an overlap with those that I know through social media, and in all its forms, those of you that subscribe and comment and we have conversation. You're all the stars in my universe. And this, from earlier on, I mean, the inspiration, see, it's not all just spiritual downloads directly, although something else I must say, just while it's fresh in the mind. Personal testimony. I have, 3-4 times I've basically said, I haven't got any credit, and I've thought about the other person and they've rung me. And I think it's Alvarbilly again pointed out, and I thought, yeah, perfect observation. Computers, social media, all these electronic devices that were sort of given to us as such a wonderful thing. Apply the law of mirrors, because silica, sand, it's built on a foundation of sand, not on a solid, firm foundation, and also it's not built on nature, it's man-made. So what is the alternative? And it led me to think on about something that the external screen has been presenting, that myself included have gone along and thought, oh, I object to that. That's not in my best interest. That's going to hurt me. I'm, of course, referring to the thing that goes between 4F and 6H is perhaps a good way of saying it. So look at what is presented from that. Faster. Instant. The ability to download so much more. And it's all, of course, superficial and material. So come on, Alice, pick up that looking glass. Let's look in the mirror. Let's just not see the reflection. Because remember, the reflection has now given you right as left and left as right. It looks pretty much the same, but it's not quite right, is it? Remember, it's a mirror. It's the external world. So it's like that piece of wire that you put round the top of a bottle. Most people are looking at the wrong end. They're not seeing, but it twists over. It goes round, and the other strand at the other end is that same piece of wire. the duality in this reality. So yeah, all that the system has always been showing us is a very simple lesson, if you think about it. So they use an analogy here. Harry Enfield, who was like a comedian from the 90s, did a character called Tim Nice But Dim. Sort of upper class, oh crikey, bloody nice chap, bloody decent chap, but absolutely not one bit of common sense in there at all. So the storyline in this thing, he's on with his boating buddies on a yacht off at Cowes on the Isle of Wight. I'm just dressing this up a little bit, paint the scene here. And Tim, when you hear the word duck, duck your head, because the ship's sail boom comes across. Oh, crikey, yeah. And of course, bang. Then the word duck again, and he doesn't duck, and this beam just keeps hitting him and hitting him and hitting him. And that's what this reality is basically doing. Look at the reality that mirror is showing. Repeat programs, repeat prescriptions, repeats of history. What does that tell you? I apply it to myself. If I keep making the same mistakes over and over again and I don't learn, well, it's going to keep happening. If I don't master walking through that doorway without hitting my shoulder, well, I'm going to end up with a very bruised shoulder. And that's what this reality is doing. So, the thing between the 4F and the 6H, that's the fear porn version. Remember where we are, and I'm going to suggest you listen. I've mentioned it before. Listen to, and I'll put the link for the latest one called Happy New Year. Adrienne Elise talking about the astrology, and it will basically say the same thing about, and it's saying about the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction and the positive aspects of it. The positive aspects of Aries. It's not like she's not talking about the subjects that you're all concerned about that are presented in this reality. Yeah, they get mentioned. So it's not all just purely from an astrology point of view. It's telling about down on the ground level as well. Because remember, there's a physical and a metaphysical. Think of this often discussed blanket term called the veil. Well, if you think of it like, what else is sort of implied, particularly in, say, adverts for something like Levi 501s about the teeth on the zip, they're metal, well, is it not something like the zip that is blocking out the metaphysical, the spiritual downloads? So if you think of it, if you visualize like that zip being undone and the two halves of the veil, because there's an external screen, there's the eyes of the deceiver that are taking everything in. What I refer to as the first eye is what you project out onto that screen with. So this is sort of that whole saying of Christ says, be greater than yourself. This is what the spiritual war is. That blanket term, spiritual war. It's not about physically fighting anything. It's fighting what that screen, that external to you, is presenting to you. How do you feel about that? What is it suggesting to you? What is your gut feeling suggesting to you is more important. That is going to do all it can to point and show you a horrific picture. You're a co-creator. You can create and project out a far greater picture, a far better picture onto this screen. That's simply the way it is, and it's just showing that there's that one bit of wire. It has a duality aspect when it is turned around and twisted. And now you've got these two sort of strands sticking up. So which one are you going to look with? What are you going to be looking at? So you're going to look towards the negative, or you're going to look towards the positive. And it's at the most subtle levels. Just look at the emojis on your phone. Look at the rainbow. Have you ever seen a natural rainbow with red at the top? It's that level of subtlety. Implanting through the eyes of the deceiver, trying to keep you as the creator in a personalized and very constricted form. Well, how constricted do you want to be? How claustrophobic do you want to be? Or are you feeling? Do you not want to expand and push out? You got a huge advantage. As I've said in many conversations with people, yeah, you've got some horrific looking things being presented to you. It's like a crappy menu, basically. Unfortunately, many people are on a diet of junk food for the mind through what they're absorbing through these eyes of the deceiver. Which, if they want to do that, that's up to them. If they might like the thrill of being in fear, they might want to go round and round again on that roller coaster or in the haunted house. Their choice. I'm not going to say they can't do it. I'm not going to say they shouldn't do it. But I'm saying that there's other rides in the fairgrounds and there's a doorway out of the fairgrounds. You don't have to be in this. There's nothing compulsory to say you have to win a goldfish in a plastic bag and take it home. Or come out with loads of candy floss, sugary, sickly stuff that isn't actually going to do you any good. But this is a metaphysical fairground that has a physical aspect to it. Because remember, it's duality, so although we're in a physical and it feels very real, it's not real at all. And it's just an aspect, part of this great play. In some ways, I had probably the Messiah complex, like everybody else, and had all these great plans that I was going to go out and save the world. Well, Christ never came to save the world. Christ came to fulfill Scripture. And that happens to each and every individual personified aspect of the Creator at a time that the Creator as a whole is privy to that information. You'll know it when it starts to happen. That's an experience. There isn't anything else quite like it. I'm not anywhere near through it. To be honest, I don't want to be. I'm enjoying it. It's now. It's all about in the present. I didn't get up to 3 o'clock this afternoon. I had the most beautiful 12 hours of absolutely out cold sleep. So there's no external pressures that I have to be doing the system. I've got to be up by 8 in the morning or anything like that to contend with. So I've eliminated that for a start from my world and my reality. I can't say that's the way you have to do it because you've got unique circumstances. You're unique. Oh dear, the candle's gone out. That really doesn't get on anybody's wick. Oh dear, what a waste. Must have found some way of addressing or creating wicks because it's an awful waste of wax. Still, we have the artificial light of the laptop to go by now because I thought it's nicer. I suppose I could light another candle. I'm just waffling now, aren't I? But I just wanted to sort of shine a little light on what that external screen is presenting on another aspect. And I'm also testing out what I call the law of mirrors, of see the reflection, see the mirror. What's the system showing to you? What is the twist in it? Because every crime has a plot. has a twist, does it not? So again, it's just look at things in, I suppose, the most sort of basic way, and what can I benefit from that? What can I learn from that? What's being presented to me? What's the alternative? But without having to go really into rabbit holes. I'm interested in the patterns. It's pattern making. Something else occurred to me is another subject, the hat man, the shadow man. When you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable, that's the shadow man coming out. That's coming from within you as well. Those feelings of not being comfortable with something. This world stage and how you act on it at the moment is what part do you want to play? I mean, you're offered scripts you can go with. They're not the best parts to play. A lot of them are just background scene. Part of the crowd. They don't even get speaking parts. And remember that the payment is not in fake wealth in a material sense either. Remember that the wealth and being a star in these world stages in any form or any way you want to take is dependent really on what script you're going to use. I mean, I would suggest that you sort of use imagination and use creativity and write your own script. Because it is a funny weirdness about everything, to say the least, and I'm putting it mildly. But remember, it's all an external presentation. You don't have to watch it. You don't have to take a part in it. Just be aware it's on. Just acknowledge that it's there, but don't give any energy to it. You don't really want to be feeding that one. Think of it as like some seeds, and you don't know what the seeds are. Some of those seeds have turned out into be strangulated, invasive things that are going to kill the beneficial seeds. So you want to sort them out, and they're obviously all seeds of thought within oneself at the end of the day. You feed those seeds with nutrients and things from what you absorb. Remember, this is metaphysical, this is mind food, this is not physical, material food, because it is affecting the mind, which in turn does affect and does manifest out physically, very much so. We'll talk about that in further videos. Oh dear, the light went there again. Anyway, that's me talked for 18 minutes. That's plenty. But thank you for the comments. Thank you for all the wonderful inspirations from those comments, and see what happens. You get an 18-minute video out of it. But hopefully that's took some of the fear element out of at least one subject that has been presented to us on this silly screen. And let's develop the real internet, the soul net that connects us all. Thought wave, the consciousness. It's there anyway. Again, a comment Niven made about thought waves and things. It's just different ways. We're all expressing the same thing. This collective consciousness is a wonderful thing. Just be really grateful that you are here now to witness and experience all this. I mean, how many times does this come round? In astrological terms, it's not just the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn, it's all the other alignments. I mean, how many thousands and thousands and thousands of years before that'll happen again? So, you're in for a... Oh, you've obviously got ringside seats to something pretty amazing, wouldn't you say? And you can choose to experience in that theatre, the metaphysical theatre, which is better than the piss poor alternative theatre that's being shown to us, I think. I shall just remain the observer and I'm going to be the critic. I'm going to be the film critic and point it out and say, that ain't right. The king is not wearing new clothes at all. And I will be lying to myself if I was told otherwise. Anyway, now we're up to 20 minutes. Ta-ta for now.